Department of Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai. Today we are studying the subject science for class 9th. The topic is study of sound, and we are in the last session, right? So in this session we are going to be revising the whole chapter, and then we are going to be solving the numericals. Okay, my name is Vishal Sudhir Chowdhury and I am from the Kurar Village MPS English Secondary School. Okay, so let us start with today's session, right? So the topics that we have learned in this chapter study of sound so far has included topics like sound waves. There we have studied the properties of sound waves. Then we had studied the concept of velocity of sound and the formulas relating to the velocity of sound. Then we studied concepts relating to the reflection of sound, wherein we have studied how the sound waves also obey the laws of reflection, right? Then we had also studied the concepts that are arising from the reflection of sound, that is echo and reverberation. Okay, then we studied the in detailed construction and working of the human ear, right? We had also studied the types of sounds, that is your audible sound, infrasonic sound and ultrasonic sound, right? Now let us briefly revise what all topics we have studied all in all of these concepts, right? So as you can see, these concepts about definition of sound, where we had studied that sound is a form of energy which creates a sensation of hearing in our ears, right? Then we had studied the properties of sound waves, as in how the sound waves require a medium to travel in, right? Then we had studied the types of the waves, right, as in longitudinal waves and transverse waves. Then we studied certain characteristics of sound waves like wavelength, frequency, amplitude, time period, and so on. Okay. Then we had studied the concept of velocity of sound and how the velocity of sound varies with various changes in the atmospheric conditions, right? Then we had studied the classification of sound as audible sound, infrasonic sound, and ultrasonic sound based on the frequency of the sound, right? Then we had studied the concepts relating to reflection of sound, where we had studied echo and reverberation, and also sonar and sonography, right? And finally we had studied about the human ear. Okay, so we had seen the definition of sound as sound is a form of energy which creates a sensation of hearing in our ears. Okay, sound energy travels in the form of waves, right? A medium is necessary for the propagation of sound waves. Now we had seen that sound waves require a medium to travel in. Okay, and when any object starts vibrating, right, it sets into motion the air molecules which are in direct contact with that vibrating object, right? So these vibrations, these oscillations are transferred from one particle to another particle, right? And the uh, particles of the air also start vibrating, as you can see in the image there. Okay, so sound waves travel in the form of these longitudinal waves, right, in the form of compressions and rarefactions. Okay, then sound waves give rise to a chain of compressions and rarefactions in the medium, right? So you can see the compressions are the regions of high pressure, right, where the particles are having high density. Okay, then the rarefactions are the regions of low density and low pressure. So you can see as a sound wave is moving from left to right, right, what is happening is the regions of high pressure of compressions are followed by the regions of low pressure, that is rarefactions. Okay, so these alternating compressions and rarefactions move as the sound progresses through the medium. Okay, so you can see that these sound waves can be visualized in the form of a graph below, right? Okay, as crests and troughs. Okay, then so we had studied the concept of velocity of sound. So distance covered by a point on the wave in unit time is the velocity of the sound wave, right? So we know that formula for velocity is equal to distance upon time. So any point on the sound wave covers a distance equal to lambda, that is a wavelength, in time t, which is the time period. Okay, so velocity is given by the formula v is equal to nu into lambda, where nu is the frequency of the sound wave and lambda is the wavelength, right? Now we know that 1 by t, 1 by t is 1 by time period equals to frequency, to wavelength upon time period, right? That equals to v equals to nu lambda upon t. And also, right, we had studied how the velocity of sound changes with the changes in the conditions, in the atmosphere. For example, variation with temperature T is given as what? Velocity of sound is directly proportional to the square root of the temperature. That means as the temperature increases, the velocity of sound also increases, right? Then we had seen about variation with density. Density is given by the symbol rho. Okay, so velocity is inversely proportional to the square root of density. That means as the density of the medium increases, velocity of the sound decreases, right? Then we had seen variation with molecular weight, right? So variation in molecular weight is given as what? Velocity is inversely proportional to the square root of the molecular mass of the gas molecule. Now you need to remember that these variations of velocity of sound are given for a gaseous medium. Okay, then we had studied about the types of the sound. Now you must remember that the sound is classified based on the frequency of the sound waves. Okay, so based on the frequency of the sound waves are classified into three types, that is audible sound, infrasound, and ultrasound. Audible sound has a frequency in the range of 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. Now, hertz is a unit of frequency where 1 hertz equals to 1 oscillation per second. That is 1 vibration per second is 1 hertz. So you can see audible range has a frequency of 20 vibrations per second to 20,000 vibrations per second. That means if you have any object that is vibrating with a rate of 20 times per second to up to 20,000 times per second. So sound generated by such vibrating objects can be heard by us humans. That is why it is called as a audible sound. Okay. Then we had seen about infrasound. Now infrasounds have a frequency lower than 20 hertz. Okay, so if any object happens to vibrate slower than 20 times per second, then that sound generated cannot be heard by us humans. But certain animals have a ability to hear these infrasounds. For example, animals like some birds or elephants, right? They happen to hear these sounds. Now, these are sounds typically generated when just before an earthquake. Right now, just before an earthquake, the surface of the Earth's crust happens to vibrate with a frequency lower than 20 hertz. Okay, so such animals can sense those sounds, right? So just before an earthquake, right, it is observed that the animals happen to show increased activity. Okay, then the next type is what? Your ultrasound. Now frequencies higher than 20,000 hertz are called as ultrasounds. Even these sounds cannot be heard by us humans, right? Now certain animals like bats, dolphins, mice, right? They can hear those sounds as well as they can generate those ultrasounds, right? So they generate those ultrasounds for something like echolocation or for finding the prey. Okay, dolphins and certain kinds of whales also generate these ultrasounds to communicate with each other. Okay, then the next concept we have studied was about reflection of sound, right? So we know that sound obeys the laws of reflection. Now if you can observe this image, you have a hard plywood surface which is acting as a reflecting object, right? Now on the either side, you in between you have a soft wood partition, right, which separates the stopwatch from the listener. Okay, now the stopwatch is kept on the left hand side of the softwood, right, and the listener is on the right hand side. So you can see that the path which the sound waves is traveling through the cardboard tube, right? So here you can clearly observe that the angle of incidence, right, of the sound wave is equal to angle of reflection of the sound wave. Right? So this proves that the sound obeys the laws of reflection. One of the important features that we observe due to the phenomenon of reflection is the echo, right? The echo is a repetition of the original sound because of reflection from some surface, right? So you might have observed this phenomena when you have visited a certain hill station. Okay, then so at 22 degrees Celsius, the velocity of sound in air is 344 meters per second. Okay, our brain retains this sound for 0.1 seconds. So thus, for us to be able to hear a distinct echo, the sound should take more than 0.1 second after starting from the source to get reflected and come back to us. That means the total distance for echo return should be the back and forth distance from the source to the reflecting surface and then back to the source, who is the listener. Okay, so that whole distance traveled, back and forth distance traveled, should take a time interval of more than 0.1 seconds for an echo to be heard. Okay, so based on this, we can very easily calculate the minimum distance that must be required between the source of the sound and the reflecting surface. Now let us see. We can determine the minimum distance between the source and the reflecting surface as follows. We know that speed equals to distance upon time. Here we happen to know the value for speed of the sound and the time interval, right? So multiplying these values, we get the minimum distance that the sound wave needs to travel is 34.4 meters. Means I'm talking about the distance that the sound wave needs to travel. That is the total back and forth motion. Means starting from the source up to the reflecting surface and back again to the source, who is the listener, right? So thus, to be able to hear a distinct echo, the reflecting surface should be at a minimum distance of half of the above distance. Means half of 34.4 meters, it comes down to 17.2 meters. So for you or for us to hear a distinct echo, right, the reflecting surface must be at a distance that is greater than or equal to 17.2 meters. Okay. Then, now one of the undesirable properties that are arising due to the reflection of sound is a concept called as reverberation, right? Now reverberation is caused by the multiple reflection of sound waves from surfaces inside a closed room. Okay, now sound waves get reflected from the walls and a roof of a room multiple times. Repeated reflections of sound waves from the walls combine to build up what seems like a continuous sound. This causes a single sound to be not heard once but continuously, and this is called as reverberation. So you can see in this case, on the left hand side of the diagram, you have the stage where you have the speaker, that is the source of the sound, right? And the listener is present on the right hand side. Now when the speaker happens to speak, means the source of sound, when it generates the sound first of all travels with a direct path to the listener, but it also gets reflected from the various surfaces within the room, that is from the walls and from the surfaces, as well as from any feature that is present on the walls or on the ceiling, right? So due to these multiple reflections, the sound happens to reach after certain interval of time. Okay, and because of that, the listener happens to get a continuous sound rather than a distinct sound. Okay, so to reduce reverberation, what happens is we can apply surfaces with bad reflectors of sound, that is something like a sound absorbing material can be applied on the walls and ceilings of those rooms to reduce the phenomena of reverberation. Okay, then the next concept that was related to the concept of reflection of sound was sonar, right? Now, sonar stands for sound navigation and ranging. It is a very important technique that is used nowadays in almost all of the ships which are present at sea. Okay, so it is used to determine the direction, distance, and speed of an underwater object with the help of ultrasonic sound waves. Right? We are aware ultrasonic sound waves are the waves having frequencies greater than 20,000 hertz. Okay, so sonar has a transmitter and receiver which are fitted on ships or boats. So when you look at this image here, you have a transmitter fitted on the ship on the left hand side and a receiver on the right hand side. Now the transmitter generates ultrasonic sound waves which travels downwards towards the ocean floor, right, as a transmitted pulse. Right, now that transmitter pulse happens to strike any underwater object. Now that may be an ocean floor, or that may be any underwater object, which can be something like a fish or something like a submarine, right? So when that reflected pulse comes back, right, the receiver captures the reflected sound wave, right, knowing the time interval between the generation of the sound and reception of the sound, right, the computer or the device can calculate the total distance traveled by the sound, and hence it can create and generate an image of the ocean sea floor on the device. Okay, thus the captain of the ship can know exactly how deep, right, the sea or the ocean is at that given point. Okay, so you can see this image. See, the transmitter produces and transmits ultrasonic sound waves. These waves travel through the water, strike underwater objects, and get reflected by them, right? The reflected waves are received by the receiver on the ship, and it is generating a image of the seafloor or any object which is present in the sea underwater. Okay, then one more important technique that we had learned was about sonography. Sonography technology uses ultrasonic sound waves to generate images of the internal organs of the human body. This is useful in finding out the cause of swelling, infections, pain, or any other problem that the patient might be facing. Okay, the condition of the heart, the state of the heart after a heart attack, as well as the growth of the fetus inside the womb of a pregnant woman are studied using sonography. Right. So sonography technique will help the doctor to identify and diagnose any disease that the patient might have. Okay, so nowadays sonography is the most widely used technique by the doctors, right, for diagnosis of any disease. Because it is a non-invasive method, it is painless, and the procedure can be completed within 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, then the sonography technique makes use of a probe and a gel. The gel is used to make proper contact between the skin and the probe so that the full capacity of the ultrasound can be utilized. Now in the image on the left hand side, you can see the image of the sonography device. In the center, you can see the probe that is placed on the skin, right? So on the skin, just above the organ to be imaged, the gel is applied, right? And over the gel, the probe is moved by the technician, right? And as the probe is moving, what happens? It generates a image, right, on the screen, as you can see on the right hand side. Okay, the gel is applied to the skin outside the internal organ to be studied. High frequency ultrasound is transmitted inside the body with the help of the probe. The sound reflected from the internal organ is again collected by the probe and fed to a computer, which generates the images of the internal organ, as you can see on the right hand side, right? You can see the image generated on the right hand side. You can see the skull or the head of the baby. And on the left hand side, you can see the fingers as well as the moving hand. Okay, so as this method is painless, it is increasingly used in medical practice for correct diagnosis. Diagnosis means to find out exactly what is the disease or what is the problem faced by the patient. Okay, and then accordingly the doctor can give the relevant medicines, right? So any stones which are present inside the kidneys, right, in the kidneys, what happens is if the person does not take enough water, what happens is inside kidneys crystals of those urea are formed, right, and which can cause severe pain. So these crystals and these stones of urea can be identified by using a sonography method. Okay, and then the doctor can give the medicine, or the doctor can prescribe a surgery if possible. Okay, so as this method is painless, it can help to diagnose, to find out. It will not cure the disease, but it will be helping the doctor to find out what exactly is the problem. Okay, then we had studied one of the most important organs, one of the most important sensory organs, right? That is the human ear. Okay, so the ear is an important organ of the human body. We hear sounds because of our ear. So when sound waves fall on the eardrum, it vibrates. These vibrations are converted into electrical signals, which then travel to the brain through the nerves, and we perceive this as your hearing sensation. Okay, so you can see the diagram of the ear. It is our human ear is classified into three regions, right? It is the outer ear, the middle ear, and the inner ear. Now let us see exactly how those parts of the ear are classified. Okay, so ear can be divided into three parts, that is outer, middle, and inner ear. Now the outer ear comprises of the pinna, the structure that we can see outside, right? It also comprises of the auditory canal. Okay, so that means what? The outer ear and the auditory canal along with the tympanic cavity make up the outer ear. Okay, so the function of the pinna, the outer ear, is to just focus and transmit, help the sound waves to enter inside the auditory canal. Okay, from the auditory canal, the sound waves strike the eardrum, which is the part of the middle ear, right? So as the sound waves travel in the auditory canal, right, they strike the eardrum and set it into vibration. Okay, so when the eardrum starts vibrating, it then sets into motion the three bones. There is a chain of three bones which is just in contact with the eardrum. So as the eardrum starts vibrating, the chain of three bones also start vibrating with those eardrums, right? So the chain of three bones and the eardrum make up the middle ear, right? Now the chain of three bones is in contact with us with the cochlea, right? The cochlea is a part of the inner ear, right? So the cochlea has a function of converting those vibrations into electrical signals, which are then sent to the brain, right? So these are the three parts of the human ear, right? So this is how we revise the chapter, right? Now we will continue with the numerical examples. Okay, so first of all, we'll take up with the solved numerical examples and also some extra numerical examples. Okay, now let us read the question. How long will it take for a sound wave of 25 centimeter wavelength and 1.5 kilohertz frequency to travel a distance of 1.5 kilometers? Right now, first of all, for any numerical, you have to find out whatever are the given variables. Okay, so write down all the given variables first, right, and convert them into the necessary units. Okay, so the first quantity given is the frequency, which is given by nu. Now the frequency given here is 1.5 kilohertz. Now you know that 1 kilohertz is equal to 1000 hertz, right? So we can write it as 1.5 into 1000 hertz, that is 1.5 into 10 raised to 3 hertz. Okay, then the given wavelength is 25 centimeter. So we can write wavelength lambda equals to 25 centimeters. Now, centimeter you need to convert into meters, right? Always convert all the units in the same system. In this case, we are converted into the standard system, that is MKS. Okay, then so wavelength is given as 25 centimeter. So we will convert it to 1 meter. So you know 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters, right? So 25 divided by 100 equals to 0.25 meters. Okay, then the distance that the sound wave needs to travel is given as 1.5 kilometers, right? So again, convert 1.5 kilometers into meters. You know 1 kilometer is 1000 meters. So 1.5 into 10 raised to 3 meters, right? So the variable that we need to find and calculate is the time required for the sound wave to travel that much distance. So we'll write it as a question mark, right? Now, for us to calculate the time, first of all, we need to calculate the velocity of the sound. So we know the formula for velocity of sound is what? Frequency into wavelength, because the given quantities or variable that we have is wavelength and frequency. So using wavelength and frequency, we can calculate velocity, right? So velocity equals to frequency multiplied by the wavelength. So here the frequency is given as 1.5 into 10 raised to 3 hertz multiplied by 0.2 meters. Okay, so you get that value as 0.375 into 10 raised to 3 meters per second, that is equal to 375 meters per second is what is the velocity, right? Now next is what we need to calculate the time required. Now we have the distance traveled, that is 1.5 kilometers. We know the velocity, so easily we can calculate the time. So we know that velocity equals to distance upon time, right? Therefore time equals to what? Distance upon velocity, that equals to s upon v. So the distance traveled is 1.5 into 10 raised to 3 meters, that equals to 1500 meters, divided by velocity, which is equal to 375 meters per second, which we have just calculated over here. So substituting those values, we will get the time interval as 4 seconds, right? So the sound wave of a frequency that is 1.5 kilohertz having 25 centimeter wavelength will take 4 seconds to travel the distance of 1.5 kilometers. Now always remember, whenever you have completed and solved a numerical, have a habit of writing the answer in words, right? Make a statement, write down the final answer in the form of a statement. Always make this habit. Okay, and make sure you are using the correct units. Okay, then let us look at the next numerical number 2. Ultrasonic sound waves are transmitted downwards into the sea with the help of a sonar. Okay, we have already studied about the sonar, that it transmits ultrasonic sound waves. Fine. Now the question is, the reflected sound is received after 4 seconds. Okay, so once the sonar device has transmitted the sound waves, right, the sound waves come back to the device after a time interval of 4 seconds is what they have given. Okay, what is the depth of the sea at that place is they have asked, right? And the given is what? Velocity of sound in seawater is 1550 meters per second. Okay, so let us write down the given quantities. Velocity of sound in seawater equals to 1550 meters per second. Time for the echo to be heard is 4 seconds. Now you need to remember, sonar is a kind of a echo device. Okay, because the sound is first of all traveling from the sonar device, that is from the transmitter up to the sea floor and back to the receiver. Okay, so it is traveling twice the distance. Okay, so the time taken for the sound wave to reach the bottom of the sea will be equal to 4 divided by 2, means the time required will be half of the total time. That is 4 divided by 2 seconds, that is equal to 2 seconds. We know that the formula for velocity of sound is distance upon time. Okay, so we need to calculate distance. So distance equal to velocity of sound multiplied by time. So velocity of sound given here is 1550 meters per second, right? And the time interval is 2. This is a mistake here, it should be 2 here. Okay, there is a mistake here, it should be 1550 multiplied by 2. Okay, so it comes down to 3100 meters, right? So the depth of the sea at that place is 3100 meters. Okay, then next is what we are seeing, the exercise numerical. Now these previous two numerical that we have seen are the solved numericals from the textbook. Now we will discuss what the numerical exercise, numerical examples from the exercise of the textbook. Okay, so that is the example number 5a. Now the speed of sound in air at 0 degrees Celsius is 332 meters per second. Okay, so what is the given quantity here? The temperature of the air is 0 degrees Celsius and the speed of the sound is 332 meters per second. Okay, what do they say? If if it increases, it means if the speed increases at the rate of 0.6 meter per second per degree, what will be the temperature when the velocity has increased to 344 meters per second? Now you need to very carefully understand this question first, right? Now we had studied previously the variation of velocity of sound with temperature. Now if you go back to the slide where we have given the relation, just excuse me for this. Yes. Now you can see the variation in velocity of sound is what? Velocity of sound varies directly with the square root of temperature. That means as the temperature increases, the velocity of sound increases, right? So the numerical that we are solving here is based on that concept. Okay, so let us go into detail. Now what does it say? The velocity of sound increases at the rate of 0.6 meter per second per degree. Now let us try to understand this. Now at 0 degrees Celsius, the speed of sound is 332 meter per second. Let us assume that the temperature increases by 1 degrees. Okay, so at 1 degree Celsius, what will be the temperature? The temperature will increase by 0.6 meter per second. So 332 meters per second is the velocity at 0 degrees Celsius. So at 1 degree Celsius, the velocity will increase by 0.6 meter per second. So can you guess what will be the velocity at 1 degree Celsius? It will be 332 plus 0.6 meters per second. That is 332.6 meters per second. Now the question that they have asked here is, what will be the temperature at 344 meters per second? Right, when the speed has increased to 344 meters per second. Okay, so let us try to understand this. We'll have to form an equation here. The solution says the speed of sound in air at 0 degrees Celsius is 332 meter per second. If it increases at the rate of 0.6 meter per second per degree, then the speed at x degrees Celsius, or whatever that temperature may be, x equals to 332 plus 0.6 multiplied by x. That will be the rise in temperature. Now we have directly taken at x because the initial temperature is 0, right? So the equation changes as the speed at x degrees Celsius they have given as 344 meters per second, right? So 344 equals to 332 plus 0.6x, right? So on solving this equation, we will get what? 344 minus 332 equal to 0.6x. So 344 minus 332 is 12. 12 equal to 0.6x. So therefore, x is equal to 12 divided by 0.6. So the temperature that we get will be 20 degrees Celsius, right? So writing the statement for the answer, the temperature of the air will be 20 degrees Celsius when the velocity of sound is 344 meters per second. Now, if you observe this numerical, we have not directly used any formula from the textbook here. Okay, but here we have applied the concept of what? The increase in velocity of sound. All right, so in this case, you need to form that equation which we have done, x at x degrees Celsius equal to 332 plus 0.6x. Right, so you need to understand this concept. Okay, so make sure you write this numerical and practice. Okay, now let us look at the next numerical example 5b. Okay, Let us see what does it say. Neeta heard the sound of lightning 4 seconds after seeing it. What was the distance of the lightning from her? And the given is what? Velocity of sound in air is 340 meters per second. Now here you need to understand the fact that you will always see the cause for the sound before you actually hear the sound. The reason is because the light travels infinitely fast. The speed of light is 3 into 10 raised to 8 meters per second. That means almost 3 lakh kilometers per second. So whenever you happen to see any uh, incident, or whenever you see any event, you get to see it immediately. But the effects, that is the sound, reaches you later. Why? Because sound travels much slower than what then what is the speed of the light. Now the simplest example of this you can observe during Diwali, right? Whenever you happen to see any rocket going up, right, and when the rocket goes up high up in the sky and it bursts, you will see it bursting first, and then you will see then you will hear the sound, right? So this is the example that, or this is a fact that the speed of light is much faster than that of the sound. So even during monsoons, when you happen to see lightnings, you will see the flash of lightning in the sky, and after several seconds you will get to hear the sound, right? Now by measuring the time interval between the flash and the actual sound that you hear, you can estimate the distance of the lightning strike from you, from wherever you are. That is what is this question. Okay, so let us read it again. Neeta heard the sound of lightning 4 seconds after seeing it. Okay, so the time interval between the flash of lightning and the sound to be heard by Neeta is 4 seconds. Okay, they have given the velocity of sound in air as 340 meters per second. So let us solve the numerical. Now let the distance between Neeta and the source of lightning be x. So we have taken the distance between the source and the source of sound, and Neeta is x. Okay. Now the source of sound is given as 340 meters per second. Time taken by the sound to reach Neeta is 4 seconds. Now we know that velocity of sound is equal to a distance upon time. So we need to calculate the distance. So the formula changes as distance is equal to velocity of sound multiplied by time. That equals to 340 meters per second multiplied by 4 seconds. That equals to 1360 meters. That means the distance of lightning from Neeta was 1360 meters. You can also write it as 1.36 kilometers, right? So the lightning strike had happened at a distance of 1.36 kilometers away. Got the point? Okay, then let us now look at the next numerical example, 5C. Now this is relating to a echo. Okay, now Sunil is standing between two walls. Okay, the question here says that Sunil is standing between two walls. The wall closest to him is at a distance of 360 meters, right? Now, if he shouts, he hears the first echo after 4 seconds and the another after 2 seconds. So they have given certain facts to you, right? So we need to solve this question in two parts. Okay, so Sunil is standing between two walls. The wall closest to him is at a distance of 360 meters. Right now, if we try to imagine this, just give me. Now, if we try to imagine this question as, say, Sunil is standing at this position in the center. Right now, we have one wall here and the other wall is at this distance, right? So you can see the wall on the left is closer than the wall on the right hand side. So you can see Sunil is standing here, right? Now, what do we have here is Sunil, the wall closest to him is at a distance of 360 meters, right? So the wall closest to him is at a distance of 360 meters. Okay. Okay. What they say is, just excuse me for this, there's some issue here. Yes. So if he shouts, he hears the first echo after 4 seconds, right? So the first echo he's getting after 4 seconds means the first echo to come, right? So if you see the echo by a red color, the first echo will go, the sound will go and come back in 4 seconds. And the second echo after another 2 seconds. That means 4 plus 2, that means 4 plus 2 seconds. We need to calculate this distance between Sunil and the second wall and the total distance. That means if you calculate distance is as x, we need to calculate the total distance, right? So let us try to understand. Let us try to understand the question again. Okay. Sunil is standing between two walls. The closest wall to him is at a distance of 360 meters. If he shouts, he hears the first echo after 4 seconds and another after 2 seconds. Okay. We need to calculate velocity of sound and the distance between the two walls. So let us take the first solution. Okay. Time to hear the first echo is 4 seconds, right? Now distance traveled by the sound in these 4 seconds is equal to 360 multiplied by 2 times, right? Because the distance traveled is total, right? Means the sound is traveling first from Sunil up to the wall and back from the wall again to Sunil, right? So speed of sound is equal to distance upon time. So time taken is 4 seconds and the distance travel is twice the distance between Sunil and the wall, that is 360 into 2. So if you calculate this, it comes down to 180 meters per second, right? So first, the question for the first answer is the velocity of sound in air is 180 meters per second, right? Now, we need to calculate distance between the two walls, right? Now, solution 2. Now, time taken to hear the second echo is 2 seconds more than the first echo, that is 4 seconds plus 2 seconds, that is equal to 6 seconds. So, distance traveled in this 6 seconds is 2x, that is twice the distance, that is from Sunil up to the second wall and back from the second wall again to Sunil. Okay, now we know that speed of sound in air is 180 meters per second, right? So, therefore, what? 2x is equal to 180 meters per second into 6 seconds. Distance is equal to speed multiplied by time, that is equal to 1080 meters. So the total distance traveled by the sound is 1080 meters. So total distance traveled is twice the distance because of the back and forth motion. So x is equal to 1080 divided by x, that is 2. 1080 divided by 2. So the distance is 540 meters. Now we know that distance between Sunil and the first wall is 360 meters, and the distance between Sunil and the second wall is 540 meters. So the distance between the two walls, we can just add up the distances, that is 360 meters plus 540 meters, that equals to 900 meters, right? So the distance between the two walls is 900 meters, right? Now let us take an extra numerical which is not there in the textbook, okay? But let us try to understand. A person fires a gun standing at a distance of 55 meters from a wall, okay? Okay, so you have a wall which is at a distance of 55 meters from a person, and at that distance the person fires a gun. Okay, if the speed of sound in air is 330 meters per second, find the time for an echo to be heard. Right, now we had studied the concept of echo, where we had seen that the minimum distance between the source of the sound and the reflecting surface should be 17.2 meters. Right, in this case the distance is much greater than 17.2 meters, so that echo will be definitely heard. Okay, so let us take given the distance as 55 meters, right? Now speed of sound is 330 meters per second. Okay, we need to calculate time for the echo to be heard. Now for an echo to be heard, the sound has to travel twice the distance, that means from the gun up to the wall and then back to the person who is listening to the sound, that is to the gun back again. Okay, so the speed of sound is equal to what? Distance upon time. Now the distance is twice 2s, so we have substituted the distance as 2s. Okay, so we need to calculate time. So time will be equal to distance upon the speed of sound. So therefore time t equals to the distance, that is twice 2s divided by v, that is velocity of sound. Okay, so 2 into 55 divided by 330, that comes down as 110 divided by 330. Got the point? Okay, so the time interval, right, for an echo to be heard is 0.3 seconds. That means if you happen to generate any sound, any loud sound from a reflecting surface which is at a distance of 55 meters, you will hear an echo after 0.3 seconds. Okay. Okay. So the time for the echo to be heard is 0.3 seconds. Okay. Then next, extra numerical is what? A sound wave has a frequency of 2 kilohertz and a wavelength of 40 centimeters. How long will it take to travel 1.6 kilometers? Right. So first of all, you will have to calculate the velocity of the sound. That is the speed of the sound, right? So frequency they have given as 2 kilohertz. Now wavelength given here is 40 centimeters. We need to convert it into meters, right? That is 40 centimeter divided by 100, that equal to 0.4 meters. Distance that the sound wave needs to travel is 1.6 kilometers. 1 kilometer is 1000 meters, so it equals to 1600 meters. Now we know speed of sound formula is equal to what? Wavelength into frequency, that is lambda into nu or nu into lambda, however you may write it. Okay, so hence velocity of sound v equals to nu into lambda. So we substitute the values. Frequency, the value for frequency is 2 into 10 raised to 3 hertz, and the wavelength value is 0.4 meters, right? So we come down to as 2000 into 0.4, that equals to 800 meters per second. So the velocity of sound is 800 meters per second. Now we need to calculate the time required for this sound wave to travel a distance of 1600 meters, right? So we know the formula for speed is equal to distance upon time. So on rearranging the formula, we get time equals to distance upon speed. So distance the sound wave needs to travel is 1600 meters, and the speed is 800 meters per second. So 1600 meters divided by 800 meters per second equals to 2 seconds, right? So the time required for the sound wave to travel 1.6 kilometer equals to 2 seconds. So you need to put it into words, right? So we have seen these two extra numericals today. Students can definitely take a screenshot, right, of these numericals. I will just cycle through the questions. So you can take a screenshot here. Then this extra numerical that we had seen for the echo concept. Then was the exercise numerical 5C, right? You can take screenshot for the first page and then for the second page here. Okay, then the exercise numerical 5B, where the time required for the or the distance from the lightning source, right, to Nita we had calculated. Then numerical 5A we had seen. Okay, and numerical example 2, this is a solved example. Okay, so here we conclude the class, right? If anyone has any questions, please go on. Yes, someone was asking. Khan, always unmute and ask whatever you want to ask. Yes, students. Anyone has any question? Bolo, Chris Chorosia, unmute yourself and ask the question. Hello. Yes, beta, unmute yourself and ask the question. Yes. Yes. Okay. So there are, I don't think so any questions are there. Supriya madam. Hello.